Hey everybody, welcome back to video 4 here in the series of 5 video tip clips for the Virtual Freedom book. Thanks very much for coming back. So in this video, I want to talk about managing. But before we talk about managing, we need to talk about how we're going to get our people to the point where we are just managing them. And that means going one step back to training. Now, training is way more important than a lot of people think. And a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start working with outsourced workers, well, they kind of completely ignore the aspect of training. And I want to sort of tackle that one right at the beginning of this clip here, because it's very, very important for you to spend some kind of time training your VA. And I'll tell you why. Even if they've got the skill sets, and we talked about this in the last video, right, in regards to all the different things you need for a good hire. So even if they have the skill sets and the experience, even if they do have the willingness to invest in themselves and become better at what they're doing as employees for you, and even if their attitude is just out of this world, they've never worked with you before. They might be able to handle the tasks that you need done, but they don't know how you want those tasks done. And only you can be the one to tell them how to do that. And this perfect example, I want to tell you a very quick story of a client of mine about 4 or 5 years ago that was working with a general VA that he hired very recently. And after about a month or so of working with this VA, he gave her the task of collecting some Hannah Montana products, product ideas that were going to be gifts for his, I guess, daughter at some point in the near future, whether it was a birthday or a Christmas, my memory escapes me now. But basically, he wanted the VA to go ahead and put together a list of all these different types of Hannah Montana products. And so she put them all together. There was a list of the product. There was, a price there. And she sort of put together some nice purple and some pink colors and things like that because it was Hannah Montana and all the rest of it. And she emailed it through to the client. He came back writing me a seething email as to how useless she was, how bad she was at her job, how she'd let him down so much in a time-sensitive task and all this stuff. And so I just prodded a little bit more and wanted to call him up. So I called him up and we had a chat for about 15 minutes. And it became very obvious that he had spent very little time training his VA in terms of the way that he wanted things done. And his words were something along the lines of, why is she using purple and pink? My corporate colors are green and blue. Why is she using Arial size 10? I like everything to be done in Times Roman size 12. Why isn't there links to all of these products online so I can actually check them out and buy them if I like? So my reaction or question to him was, well, did you ask your VA to put all these things together for you? And he said, no, I just assumed that she would know how to do it. And I said, aha, so you made an assumption. And that's exactly what he did. And we know that assumptions are the mother of all screw-ups, right? Generally they are. Fact of the matter is he didn't spend hardly any time training his VA on this task, and she was just left in the wilderness to sort of just fend for herself and did the best job that she thought she could in regards to that. So the first thing in regards to training is always, always, always train your virtual assistant, particularly at the beginning of working with them, even if the tasks seem very, very simple and easy. And one of the easiest ways to be able to do that is video. And this is part of the VA training trifecta that I talk about in the book, where there's 3 different ways that I personally train all of my virtual staff. The first one is written instructions. So I'll write out usually a bullet point list and kind of caveat that and finish it up with a paragraph as to how I want things done and any deadlines. The second way of training is audio. Now, if I'm out on the move a little bit, and I actually do this quite a bit when I'm at airports, I'm traveling for everything from business to speaking engagements or whatever, I might just get my iPhone and record a very quick audio task or piece of audio training and then just dump that into Dropbox right there on my phone. Boom, my VA gets it, she downloads it, she listens to it, and she works on whatever she's working on. And the last part of that VA training trifecta is the videos, right? This is, for me, is the best way to train your virtual workers, hands down. And you can do screencasts or, with Camtasia or ScreenFlow or Jing, something where you're physically recording the screen on your computer. You've got a microphone plugged in, or maybe you're just using the mic on a laptop or whatever, but they can not only hear what you're saying, but they can see exactly what you're talking about as well. So if there's a particularly tough or complex task that you're training a VA in, always use video, because we are very visual beings, us humans, and we like to be able to then watch that video 2 or 3 times over before we go ahead and actually do the task, right? So that's the training side of things, and really developing that encyclopedia of training for your VAs to be able to go back to over and over and over again. And lastly, I want to touch on the management of your VAs on a day-to-day basis. Now, believe it or not, a lot of it does come down to training and communication. And the communication just goes on very nicely from the training aspect. And that is really, there's basically 3 main ways that you're going to interact and communicate with your VA on a day-to-day basis. First up is email. Okay, you're going to send emails backwards and forwards to each other all the time. Secondly is Skype. Now, Skype minimizes email because you can have those very quick conversations backwards and forwards without any major issues. You can also get on and speak with each other in an audio format, and if you and your VA are up for it, do a little video Skyping as well. So that's a great way to be able to communicate and train and manage and motivate your VAs on a day-to-day basis. And then lastly, there's good old-fashioned project management systems like Basecamp, Asana, Hivedesk, all these other project management systems that I talk about in the book and on the website as well. These help you minimize email even further because it keeps the discussion inside that particular project management system on the internet. And almost all of them nowadays have fantastic mobile apps developed as well. So you can get them on your iPads, your tablets, your iPhones, smartphones, whatever the case may be, for when you're running about doing whatever you're doing with all that virtual freedom that you have. So that handles the training and the management of your VAs. And in the final video, we're going to be talking about taking all of this stuff, right? Everything up to the next level. We're going to be talking about going from one VA to several VAs, and then how you can really catapult that VA team to the next level to really put your business on steroids. I'll see you in the next video.